Right, let's get started. Hi everyone. Thanks so much for joining today's 30-minute webinar. My name is Luzanne Lottering. I'm the marketing manager here at Cardiolog Analytics. I'll go ahead and kick things off. Today's webinar is on using internal communication to simplify the rollout of Microsoft Teams. This webinar is being recorded. If you want to share this with a colleague, we'll send an email with the recording after today's session. And of course, if you have any questions, please send them through the question box within the GoToWebinar panel, and we'll leave some time towards the end for Q&A. You can also connect with us on Twitter with the Twitter handle @Cardiolog. In regards to the agenda for today's webinar, we'll start out with a very short introduction. We'll talk a bit about Cardiolog Analytics and who we are. Then I'll go over to our engagement tool and walk you through how you can use Engage to make the rollout of Microsoft Teams in your organization easier and simpler in spite of all the barriers. And after that, we'll talk about those barriers to adoption and how to overcome them with the use of the adoption ladder and, of course, our unique internal communication solution to even further simplify. Then I'll discuss in more detail rolling out Microsoft Teams and how important two-way internal communication is. And at the end, we'll be taking some Q&A, so feel free to send your questions throughout the course of the presentation. So, a brief introduction. Cardiolog Analytics has been around since 2005, and we are based out of Boston. And over the past 14 years, we've been focused on web analytics designed for SharePoint and Office 365. Our flagship solution is Cardiolog Analytics, and it's built specifically for internal platforms, including all versions of SharePoint, as well as SharePoint Online and Office 365. Our solution is available both on-prem and as a SaaS version based on Power BI. So, just a little bit about our vision as a company. This slideshow shows our evolution. Our goal is to help our customers constantly improve SharePoint based on how it's being used, and getting people to use technologies such as Microsoft Teams more. So there are three main pillars that we talk to our customers about. The first pillar is monitoring activity, which is tracking the usage within SharePoint with in-depth internet analytics, insights, and usage reports. But our customers realized that understanding usage analytics is often simply not enough. They wanted a way to take action based on the insights gained from monitoring their portal usage. The second is engaging users, asking them what their needs are, what their pain points are, and what's not working for them. This is one of the things we will focus on in our presentation today. And then finally, the most important pillar is enhance. We want to make sure we're constantly improving SharePoint based on those two pillars. The idea is to have actionable metrics, which will allow us to constantly make SharePoint and now Microsoft Teams better for our users. The real bottom line of our product is to help customers get more out of tools like SharePoint, Yammer, Teams, or in other words, getting people to use these technologies more. As I mentioned earlier, here's a brief overview of our various analytics and employee engagement solutions. Our flagship product is Cardiolog Analytics. Gamify, a revolutionary SharePoint-based gamification service which encourages users to take action in the portal and ultimately increasing SharePoint adoption. And finally, we have Cardiolog Engage, a great interactive solution for sending internal communication campaigns across the SharePoint portal and within Microsoft Teams and engaging with your users. With Engage, you can connect with your users to know what their needs are, You can send reminders, you can launch surveys, and dig deep to understand how you can improve various aspects of your platform, which I will tell you about more during the presentation. So first, I want to hop into a live demo of Cardiolog Engage so you can see the solution in action. Cardiolog Engage is a unique solution that gives further value to our Microsoft Teams customers. If some users in the organization don't use Microsoft Teams yet, they might not know how they can use Teams to be more productive and collaborative. You can then use Cardiolog Engage to generate excitement or to target them and help them get started. You can use Cardiolog Analytics reports for teams to decide where to prioritize training and communication efforts. Engage can be used to create awareness about Microsoft Teams and increase productivity within Teams. I will also show you how you can use Engage in SharePoint in order to drive adoption in Teams. So as an example, we found out that our new Teams platform is not being accessed by everyone. We can create a campaign here and actually promote Microsoft Teams. Let me tell everyone about Teams, how great it is for collaboration, and that they have access to it. Or perhaps we can ask users for feedback. What's missing for them? How can we improve their experience in Teams? Maybe give them more training on a specific feature in Teams. When you are creating a campaign, you can use one of our pre-canned campaigns, or you can create one from scratch by clicking Skip. And there are a few steps to create these campaigns. Step 1 is going to be the audience. Who do you want to engage with inside the organization? Everyone in the company? Send a message to everyone. Tell them in SharePoint that they have access to Microsoft Teams platform already. If we have launched Teams, and in the data we found out that a specific team is not very active within Teams, let's create a campaign and target only those team members. And here are your options for the different teams within Teams. Or, because we track all the users, I won't target everyone. I will target only the inactives. Those are the folks who are inactive and did not interact with Teams for a certain amount of time. Then the newbies are the users who did not view a specific document, for example, in Teams for, let's say, more than 30 days. Or I can create a group. I can include or exclude a specific team or teams. So that is the audience, who exactly you want to connect with. Our next step is how you want to engage with them. For example, in Teams, you can send them a chat within the Teams platform. You can ask them for feedback. What's missing for you? How can we improve your experience in Teams? So a chat within Teams is a great way to tell them about updates. You can say to them, check out the new tab in Teams, or the new CEO blog post, or the new HR site in SharePoint even. These are some great ways to interact right here within the Microsoft Teams platform. If I'm using SharePoint and I don't use Teams, maybe show me a pop-up in SharePoint reminding me that I have access to Microsoft Teams so that I'll start using it. Header and footer are great to tell them about new content. You can send them a message in SharePoint saying, check out new features in Teams, for example. With Cardiolog Engage, you can automatically trigger a message bar to pop up in SharePoint for those folks who did not yet read the CEO's blog post about the upcoming migration from Skype to Teams, for example. Or you can send them a pop-up saying, we noticed you haven't checked out Teams. Here is a link. But for people who don't actually access things like SharePoint or Teams and won't get the chats in Teams or the pop-ups in SharePoint, they obviously won't see any of these messages. So for them, maybe just a quick email. It could be a very targeted email to members of a specific team in Microsoft Teams. We can email them and we can say, we are migrating to Teams. But what if you have employees who don't regularly check email or simply ignore the email campaign? Or if they are out in the field all day visiting with customers, maybe a quick text message for those people. For example, if members from a specific team are inactive, just send them a quick text message with a link back to Teams where we uploaded some new collateral for a specific team. So basically, step 1 in the data I found, that specific team members aren't very active within Teams, for example. And step 2 will be, I am going to drive their consumption and adoption by actually interacting with those orphaned users. So the next step will be where we can design the campaign. So the idea is that we can really get a lot more data from the users besides just analytics, where again, the goal is to get that feedback and create a better collaboration for the user so they'll use it more or raise their consumption of technologies such as Microsoft Teams. That's really the bottom line of this tool. Cardiolog Engage is a great tool to use to communicate with your users during the training process. For example, you can automate a chat like this during a series of training videos. After finishing the first video, trigger a chat directing them to watch the next video. When they've finished the training video series, you can trigger a chat and an email congratulating them on completing their training. Another example would be traditional emails that we are sending employees. So instead of sending them an email inviting them to an event, you can send them a quick chat in Teams, inviting them to an event, maybe send them a quick chat in Teams saying, you are invited to Teams training Monday at 5, and have people RSVP to that event, and also have one campaign follow another. So for those who clicked on maybe, send them another chat tomorrow asking them to click on yes or no. And those who said that they want to attend the event, they'll get a text message before the event with a reminder about the event. Call to actions within a chat on Teams can either be no call to action. You can ask them to confirm, RSVP, or it can be an open question. In regards to the fallback message, it's a message that is displayed if the user's answer was not as expected. For example, if the message is, are you coming to the training? And the buttons are yes, maybe, or no, and the user, instead of clicking on one of the buttons, types, I don't know yet, the fallback message will be presented. And the thank you messages after will be what they will receive after they have taken action. For example, thank you for your feedback, thank you for your response. And then the last step, when launching a campaign, is going to be the trigger. You can send out messages immediately after launching the campaign. You can schedule the campaign, so messages will be sent at a specific date and time. Or you can trigger the campaign based on interaction with the technology, whether that is SharePoint or Teams. That could be when someone is at mentioning Teams, they don't answer for a certain amount of time, and then you will send them a text message. Or if someone is viewing a campaign more than 2 times, that's when the chat will appear in Teams. So you are asking the right questions at the right time to the right user to give you the best feedback or guide them or prompt them in the best possible way to be more productive within Microsoft Teams. And it only takes 60 seconds to trigger the campaign. So the idea is to constantly know what's going on in order to improve the drive of consumption and adoption for tools such as Microsoft Teams. Now that you have seen Engage in action, let's discuss in more detail how to leverage it to help simplify the Microsoft Teams rollout. If you are joining us today, you have probably heard that Microsoft Teams is being called the one app to rule them all, because it provides a platform for people to work together, hold conversations and meetings, share content, and even work on other apps right within the Teams app. You are likely in the process of or already decided to take the big step of rolling out Microsoft Teams. In fact, Microsoft is strongly encouraging migration of all its cloud users to Microsoft Teams. It's part of Microsoft's move to intelligent communications and integration with Office 365. This rollout might seem daunting at first, but there are a variety of ways to manage and take control of this process. The benefits of Teams are great, but it will only be realized to full potential if time is spent maximizing user adoption of the app. Many organizations have experienced the hardships of poor implementation and user adoption of other collaboration tools in the past. Let's avoid them when rolling out Teams. So, why do some technology changes succeed and others fail? Buying and installing new technology is actually the easy part. Making sure that users adopt the new systems to full capacity and continue to use it on a sustained basis is where a lot of organizations fall short. Getting full adoption and benefit realization for technology projects is not simple, and it is certainly not a given. There are many barriers to adoption when rolling out. You want to get over these barriers because employee adoption has a huge ripple effect. The users will enjoy smoother task completion and less frustration, while the organization will see improved productivity and positive ROI if adoption increased. Let's take a really quick look at the top barriers to user adoption that, once overcoming them, you will be heading down the right path to new technology implementation success. The first barrier to adoption is users not grasping the full value of the tool, and therefore adoption is lagging. The second barrier to adoption is poor user training, and the third barrier is ineffective communication. You will notice that all of the top barriers are people-centered. Engage is a powerful solution that can help overcome all three of these main barriers. Engage can help raise awareness of a new technology, encourage more people to adopt the technology, increase users' productivity within this technology, and collect important feedback from users regarding the new technology. As we can see, users are in fact the key to realizing the full potential of your Teams rollout. Only when your users adopt and embrace the new portal can your rollout really be a success. If you want to drive user adoption to its highest potential, you do need an effective internal communication solution to communicate with your users during all steps of your rollout and drive user adoption to its highest potential. The key to successfully managing this people side of change during your Teams rollout is to keep in mind your employees and their wants, needs, behaviors, learning styles, and preferred communications channels. That being said, let's look at the adoption ladder and how internal communication can help overcome these barriers mentioned before. Awareness. Cardiolog Engage can get a user's attention and create awareness. If you want to optimize or change the way people are using the platform, you need to have a promising way to get the user's attention and engage them. which is exactly what Engage does. Keeping your employees in the loop and making them feel heard will result in a much higher adoption rate. If you use multiple channels in your awareness campaign to communicate the same message, you'll get a stronger response and higher adoption from your end users. Like I've showed you in the demo, with Engage, you can email, you can send a text message, you can send a pop-up in SharePoint, as well as a chat directly within Microsoft Teams. Email is the most common communication channel, but there are many other creative ways you can get in touch with your employees, besides the traditional inbox. You could host a kickoff event to announce your company's plans to migrate to Microsoft Teams, for example. This gives your employees a chance to ask questions in person. You can also send a variety of messages within SharePoint to reiterate the upcoming changes, and that will save vital time and increase clarity and excitement in the lead up to your rollout. Also, it is important to keep your executive sponsors actively engaged during your awareness campaign. You should have your champions share their tips, best practices, and other updates directly in SharePoint or Teams to garner enthusiasm from your end user. Interest. You need to inform, involve, and inspire your users in order to see the expected behavior change required of consumption of a new technology. For example, if a user is using SharePoint and doesn't use Teams, maybe show them a pop-up in SharePoint reminding them that they have access to Microsoft Teams, so they'll start using it. You have to generate excitement so that the users will accept it. Tell them the plan, build excitement, tell them they will be trained. You could trigger an email campaign to send automatically to all your employees once your CEO publishes his new blog post announcing the rollout of Teams. Trial. In other words, trying it out. After rolling out a software solution, such as Microsoft Teams, to an enterprise, a certain number of employees will start using it instantly, while others won't. Those people that have started using it need to be monitored in some way, because there are many things you can learn from this, like how they operate now when they have implemented a brand new solution. When you understand where people are at the moment and how they use the software, you will also be able to anticipate how they will resist the new implementation. Knowing how people are currently using the software will help you find out how it's helping them, where it's giving them troubles, and what they lack in training or in their approach. Adoption. In order to maximize the use of the Teams platform, we have to push new people who have not yet been on the platform to go on and check it out for themselves. We need to notify them of new features, advise them where to go to find different information, and notify users of new tabs or sections that don't get any attention, and so on. With Engage, we can push or notify specific people, the relevant people, or all the users, like I've showed you with the audience during the demo. We're talking portal adoption and internal engagement to taking portal adoption and internal engagement to another level and putting the power in your hands. It is simply the click and the launch of a campaign. And then the last step in the adoption hurdle, advocating. In other words, telling others to do it. You will need several executive sponsors to champion the change publicly and lead by example. They should be among the early adopters. Employees are likely to be much more enthusiastic when they see the new feature and value propositions firsthand. Organizations that explicitly secure executive sponsors to actively communicate the value and benefit of Microsoft Teams are more likely to be successful with their rollout. By embracing the overall messaging of the awareness campaign, the executive sponsors bring legitimacy to the rollout, emphasize the benefits of the new portal, and motivate users to start using it because after all, adoption is key to business value. IT has to take a step back here and try to understand the human element of unleashing a new technology such as Microsoft Teams. Many organizations have experienced the hardships of poor implementation and user adoption of collaboration tools in the past because of not realizing this. Since Teams is built for larger enterprises, its deployment process requires more effort and time. And in deploying Teams, it is more effective to have administrators take control of this process and use internal communication tools to simplify this transition. Internal bidirectional communication is critical to a successful Teams rollout. From keeping your employees in the loop to raising awareness, articulating expectations, training, reinforcing the new expected behavior change, and measuring user adoption and satisfaction. Adoption is key to business value, so it's extremely important to get as many people as possible on board as soon as possible. People resist change, so the organization can leverage internal communication tools to ask for feedback throughout your rollout. For example, once your users start the training process, it's critical to acknowledge their progress to keep them motivated to continue learning and complete their training. It is important to offer employees a way to ask questions or give feedback to the rollout team. This will ensure acceptance. Cardiolog Engage is a great tool to use to ask for feedback about the training process during your team's rollout. You can quickly and easily automate messages to your users to collect feedback and assess user satisfaction. In Cardiolog Engage, it's quick and easy to customize your communication with your users, to ask people if the training has increased their understanding of how to use the tool in the day-to-day work, and ask for feedback on topics to provide additional training about. And also ensure that the right message lands in the right hands. Using Cardiolog Engage's smart internal communication tools to run awareness and training campaigns to manage your Microsoft Teams rollout can save vital time while increasing clarity and excitement among your employees. You can quickly and easily automate campaigns to articulate expectations, raise awareness, encourage adoption, and provide the right help to the right people when they need it. Incorporating two-way communication with your users to quickly and easily get your employees up to speed during your rollout and find out what's working and what isn't will make training more effective, increase productivity, and improve employee satisfaction, and basically make your rollout a success. We are almost at the end of our 30-minute webinar. Please do send us any questions you may have in the GoToWebinar question box. I see we already have a question from Brad. I will only have time for 3 questions, unfortunately. Brad says, can we target specific departments? So Brad, yes, you can target specific departments in SharePoint, but for Teams, it will be a specific team, and the answer is still yes. I have another question from Robert. Does it take a lot of time to deploy? Robert, so what's neat about this tool is it's designed for Microsoft Teams, so there's no need for customization when you want to deploy. With our setup wizard, you can get it up and running within an hour, and you can already start collecting data and launching campaigns. I only have one more question from David. Do you have a trial? Yes, David, we do have a trial. We have a free trial as well as a proof of concept for people who want a longer evaluation or to try more environments and features. We can definitely share more information about what's included in each. I see another question from Melissa, but we have run out of time, so I'm going to wrap up our session today and answer your question privately, Melissa. As a reminder, we have recorded this webinar and we'll be sending out a recording tomorrow for you to share with your colleagues who aren't able to attend. We invite you to visit us at cardiologanalytics.com to book your free demo of Engage or our other product, Gamify. You can always tweet us at cardiolog, and for more information and helpful tips, you can check out our blog at blog.cardiologanalytics.com. For more information, you can contact us at info@cardiologanalytics.com. A huge thank you to everyone who joined us today and sent in their questions.